Sierra Dawson, and I am the Associate Vice Provost for Faculty and Leadership Development in the Office of the Provost here at U of O. This process has been really fascinating and very challenging. Admittedly, I put my name forward to challenge myself, knowing that there would be emotional struggle, that there'd be, the struggle of vulnerability, of putting yourself out there, standing up on a stage, sharing some things that I hadn't shared before, not especially in a very public arena like this. But working with a story coach was an amazing experience. I feel so lucky to have had someone who cared enough to take time to help me work through the struggles of the emotional and vulnerable parts of the story, while also just really helping me to find my story. When I started, I had a sense of what I wanted to talk about, but I realized that my own mind was scattered by having all of the information in there for so long. And so it was really special to work with someone, week after week, to hone the story, find the story, and then make it the, best communication that I could offer of what I wanted to share.
I'm here today to do something that I rarely do, to be fully known. The name you see in your program is Sierra Dawson, but I spent 38 years living under a different name, Susan Verschure. In 2010, I changed my name to become the little girl I never had. Okay, that's actually like 10% of the story, because the real story, it's ugly, and it's scary, and it's sad. And it's really difficult to tell. And so I usually protect everyone from all of that, and I give the Disney version instead. The downside is that although I know so many people in this beautiful community, so few know me fully. And I started to realize how lonely and painful that can be. So here we go. When I was 16 years old, my world turned upside down. What was a suburban white picket fence kind of life, 2 kids a year apart, signed up for, piano and figure skating and, swim team and dance lessons, high school, basketball, volleyball. It suddenly turned into a tragic newspaper headline. Mother of 2 killed by brother and premeditated murder-suicide. Here's what happened. One afternoon, my uncle came to our house with a knife, and after chit-chatting with my mom in the kitchen for a while, he stabbed her 17 times, and then he killed himself. The police said that he had a suicide note in his wallet, and his apartment was full of newspaper articles for 5 years that were related to sibling rivalry, but we'll never really know what his motives were. At the time, I was doing a high school study abroad in France, living my most outrageously best 16-year-old life you could imagine. But one morning, they woke me up and said, "You have to go home today. There's a family emergency." I'll never forget what it felt like that morning, sitting in the cold European bathtub, just bawling. I was crying for the loss of this amazing summer. I cried for the loss of my happy life. I cried for the death of each member of my family. As I was flying back home, I just kept making up stories of what might have happened, like maybe my brother was in an accident at his Boy Scout camp, or maybe my parents died in a car accident. I made up 50 different ways each member of my family might have died, but the truth was so much worse. So, to cope, I just kept overachieving and taking care of everyone else, starting with my dad. Although I didn't know it at the time, I see this was a survival mechanism. I didn't have to look at my own pain and loss. In my mind, the most important part wasn't that my mom had died, but that my dad's wife had been murdered and he needed someone to manage his emotions. But this went on for decades. When I turned 50 a few years ago, I realized that it was finally time to start dealing with that Pandora's box of locked up emotions. The real wake-up call came one day when I was hiking with my husband, and he just benignly asked me, what does your 8-year-old self need? I just lost it, crying uncontrollably. I actually fell to my knees with the pain, the physical pain of letting some of those emotions start to come out. So I began in earnest some intensive therapy to begin to mourn the loss of my mom. For the first time, I allowed myself to wish that she could have been there. Like when I was making terrible boyfriend choices, right? Or when I got married, or when my son was born. Now you might be wondering, what does any of this have to do with changing your name? I'm getting to that part now. 20 years after my uncle killed my mom, his nephew, my cousin, not knowing who I was, found legal documents in his dad's office that he was enraged about, and they had my name on them. And so he started sending messages threatening to kill me. I'll never forget that day, too, where I was reading the first message and the fear and the anxiety are starting to overwhelm me. And I remember thinking, why didn't I just change my name when I got married? Turns out I was the only Susan Verschure on the continent, and therefore very easy to find. And also, as a faculty member here at U of O, he could look up exactly where I was teaching and when. I was desperate to protect my family and myself. And I was definitely not going to let my son go through the same thing I did, to have his mother be murdered by a family member. I kept trying to find a way to, protect us. How can we disappear into our own life? And then I realized, wait, I can change my name. And so I did. I changed my name, and I didn't have any images of myself on the web for almost 10 years. And I still have no social media. So in 2010, I stopped being Susan Kathleen Verschure, that 60-year-old girl from Toronto, and I became Sierra Mackenzie Dawson, the little girl I never had. That was the name we had chosen for a baby if they were a girl. See how the Disney version, it's still true, it's just not real. As a teacher and a facilitator, I often bring together groups of people trying to build community and safety, but I know that there's a gap between us. I think people see my bubbly, trusting, optimistic self and couldn't imagine that I'm holding trauma and loss. So my intention today was to show you more of me. So thank you for the gift that you've just given me, the gift of hearing my story so that I can begin to feel more fully known.